Hello, everybody. The Army of Light Earth Division, the boots on the ground, the light workers extraordinaire. It's Shawna L. Francis, and today is September 4th, 2024, in the wee hours of the morning here, 12:43 a.m. Oh, we are decoding the Bible. We are working with Melchizedek, the author of Genesis, the author of Revelation. And we are going through this kind of bit by bit here with Genesis and talking about what do these passages mean for today's audience? How are we applying this to today? What the heck is actually going on in this Bible? Melchizedek has said several times here in the last 4 or 5 episodes for this series that this is really an important turning point for humanity to be talking about the Bible in this way. Remember, team, that we are a smallish collective here where this information is getting seeded, and Melchizedek also is able to gauge our reaction to this information before it gets spread out to a wider audience. So that's the role that we've been playing here. It's been quite a fun roller coaster of information, disclosure coming through. A lot of what we talk about here is about the negative reptilian influence here. And we are an army of light workers. This community is incredible, doing incredibly important work on behalf of the light. We are trying to be fearless. We are trying to put love first. We are striving to be in acceptance, to be at peace, to be in faith and in trust with the changing tides of energy, the waves of energy that are coming onto this planet as part of this 5D evolution of Mother Earth, and some of us here, some of us with humanity, who also plan to go to the 5th dimension here over the next, 1,000 years or so, no big deal. We have a ways to go, but again, seriously though, this is an important turning point for humanity. We're in this new phase now where we have turned the corner on the runway and we're starting to hit the gas pedal, getting ready for takeoff here. We have talked a lot about Genesis so far in this series. I think this is our 6th episode here, Decoding the Living Word. Welcome if you're new to this channel. It has been quite an eye-opening experience for me to be talking about the Bible. I am really a neophyte when it comes to the major stories of the Bible and even the detailed stuff. Today, I'm getting such a late start on this video because unbeknownst to me, Melchizedek had me read all of the rest of Genesis today. So I just sit down at like 3 or 4 this afternoon to, basically channel and read a few passages like we have been doing. Well, I am reading this book for 3 hours, 3.5 hours today. And I got after them. They said, sorry, we should have warned you. And actually, I quite enjoyed it, to be honest. I mean, this last week we ended with, we're talking about Noah and the flood and the ark and what this really actually means in terms of the resurfacing of planet Earth when it comes to kind of the last pushes of the 3D to 4D to 5D transition that Mother Earth is going to be making. So if you missed that, head back a week and take a look at that video. But yeah, I read this kind of word for word mostly today. So it was about 40 chapters. So we went from basically 10 to 49, well, really to 50 all the way to the end. Wow. And I'd never done that before. So that's where we're at today. We're going to be talking about the 12 tribes of Israel. I actually was shocked when I got to the end of Genesis. It's like, oh, these are the 12 tribes. Okay. So some context here for what that was and how that came about. So actually quite enjoyed it. All right. So I'm going to get into this. If I haven't mentioned it already, I am a conscious embodied channel with Melchizedek. I'm having a great time. There's so much going on. I'm feeling really good, enjoying this last bit of summer here, working very closely with our guides, working closely with family, also trying to get out in nature and have some fun. But it's been quite social. It's been quite fulfilling. And yeah, so I'm doing well. How are you guys doing? What's the pulse out there? I'm behind on email, as I always am, but man, I'm extra behind now. So if you've emailed me in the last week or two and I haven't responded, I'm so sorry. I'm getting to you. I'm getting unburied here, and we'll be responding. So thanks, guys. Thanks for all your wonderful comments on this channel, all your support, all your questions and all your concerns, everything. Everybody, there's plenty of room for everybody's opinions here. Just always, we want to keep it respectful and loving and non-personal and all that good stuff. And you're all doing a great job of that. So thank you. And of course, Melchizedek is watching our field for these questions that you're asking and your comments that you bring to the table. So keep them coming, guys. Keep them coming. You're doing great. Okay, I'm going to get into this here. All right, here is what Melchizedek had to say about the last 40 chapters of Genesis today. Okay, the stories in Genesis, while a bit convoluted and at times overly detailed, carry relatively simple meanings for today's ascending audience. We asked this dear one here to finish reading all of Genesis, something she's never done before. It was a joy to revisit these words through her voice and through her comprehension of these words. The 12 tribes of Israel, the sons of Jacob, buried in nature, each of the 12 bring a hint to where this world goes from here. All right, and at that point they said, dear one, can you please turn to the passages that refer to the 12 sons? Okay, so that, for those of you who want to actually follow along in your Old Testament with Genesis, here it's chapter 49. All right, and Melchizedek had me read, well, most of 49. And I did check with them, and they do want me to go ahead and read that out loud for you. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to provide some context, and then we'll get back into the channeling here and what Melchizedek has to say about these passages. Okay, bear with me, team. There's a lot. 49. Then Jacob called his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you what shall befall you in the days to come. All right, guys, again, this is the end of Genesis, so there is tons of information about who Jacob is. Who are these main characters? Who are these 12 children and grandchildren that are part of the 12 tribes of Israel? Jacob also being called Israel. You know, these kinds of things are not clear unless you read the details here in these passages. And truly, Joseph is the star of the show here. We'll talk more about Joseph. Okay. So sorry, this is going to be a little bit, out of context for those of you who are unfamiliar with this, but I do think this will help. Okay. Verse 2. Assemble and hear, O sons of Jacob, and hearken to Israel your father. Reuben, you are my firstborn, my might, and the firstfruits of my strength, preeminent in pride and preeminent in power. Unstable as water, you shall not have preeminence, because you went up to your father's bed, then you defiled it, you went up to my couch. All right. Verse 5. Simeon and Levi are brothers. Weapons of violence are their swords. O my soul, come not into their counsel. O my spirit, be not joined to their company, for in their anger they slay men, and in their wantonness they hamstring oxen. Cursed be their anger, for it is fierce, and their wrath, for it is cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. Verse 8. Judah, your brothers shall praise you. Your hand shall be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's sons shall bow down before you. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, you have gone up. He stooped down, he couched as a lion, and as a lioness, who dares rouse him up? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until he comes to whom it belongs. and to him shall be the obedience of the peoples, blinding his foal to the vine, and his ass's colt to the choice vine. He washes his garments in wine, and his vesture in the blood of grapes. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. Interesting stuff here. Okay, 13, verse 13. And I'm sorry if I'm going to just be crucifying or doing a terrible job pronouncing these names here. Zebulun shall dwell at the shore of the sea. He shall become a haven for ships, and his border shall be at Sidon. 14. Issachar is a strong ass crouching between the sheepfolds. He saw that a resting place was good, and that the land was pleasant, so he bowed his shoulders to he bowed his shoulders to bear and became a slave at forced labor. And we're going to talk about Dan. 16. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent in the way, a viper by the path, that bites the horse's heels so that his rider falls backward. I wait for thy salvation, O Lord. 19. Raiders shall raid Gad. Gad is the name of one of the kids here. But he shall raid at their heels. Asher's food shall be rich, and he shall yield royal dainties. 21. Naphtali is a hind let loose that bears comely fawns. I don't really get that. We didn't really talk much about 21. There you go. Joseph, 22, is a fruitful bough by a spring. His branches run over the wall. The archers fiercely attacked him, shot at him, and harassed him sorely. Yet his bow remained unmoved. His bow remained unmoved. His arms were made agile by the hands of the mighty one of Jacob, by the name of the shepherd, the rock of Israel. By the God of your father who will help you, by God Almighty, who will bless you with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that couches beneath, blessings of the breasts and of the womb. The blessings of your father are mighty beyond the blessings of the eternal mountains, the bounties of the everlasting hills. May they be on the head of Joseph and on the brow of him who was separate from his brothers. 27. Benjamin is a ravenous wolf, in the morning devouring the prey, and at even dividing the spoil. Okay, and then 28 says, all these are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is what their father said to them as he blessed them, blessing each with the blessing suitable to him. All right. Okay, guys, so that was a lot of reading out of the Bible. That was most of chapter 49, the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, and I'm going to go on here. Melchizedek, here's what they had to say about these passages. Again, dear ones, these tribes are symbolic in nature, though much detail was given for most of these sons and grandsons in terms of their lives and wives and children. For today's audience, these are meant to be representations, general categorizations of the major divisions and ruling factors of the people of earth for today's modern times. And they said, dear one, let us talk about Joseph. And just a little context about Joseph, because most of the 40 chapters was about Jacob and Joseph. There was a lot about the other sons that I just mentioned, but Joseph here, he gets a lot of airtime, and it's actually quite a moving story. His jealous brothers talked about killing him, and they threw him in a big pit. And Judah said, let's not kill him, let's sell him. Let's sell him, and we really can't kill the guy, but we'll go ahead and sell him. So they did. They sold him into slavery. He was taken off to Egypt. And actually, God walked with Joseph, and no matter what Joseph did, he rose in prominence. He rose to these leadership positions. Even when he was in jail, he was running the jail after a short time. So he was highly trusted and highly regarded. And he helped the whole world basically survive a 7-year famine by planning ahead. He had been given this information kind of prophetically through God that this 7-year famine would be coming. So he stockpiled grain and all this good stuff. And his jealous brothers who had tried to kill him and shipped him off to Egypt came looking for grain and looking for food and sustenance. They did not recognize Joseph. And basically, in the end here, Joseph forgives these brothers and brings the entire family, all 70 of them, to Egypt, where they reestablished themselves, and they all survived this horrible famine. But really, it's about peace and love and acceptance and understanding the bigger picture of why Joseph, Joseph said to his brothers, it's really not your fault. This was really God's doing, because this allowed me now to do this important work during this famine, preparing for this famine. So he made peace with everyone, and it was quite moving. Okay. So verse 22 talks about Joseph again. Joseph is a fruitful bough by a spring. His branches run over the wall, unharmed, agile. The mighty one of Jacob, the God of your father, will help you, will bless you, blessings from heaven above. Okay. Bountiful, abundant, omnipotent. This does not describe a country or a race or a geographical location, say Melchizedek, but instead represents all who find themselves in alignment with love, non-judgment, unity consciousness. Those who follow in the form of Joseph are making conscious choices toward unconditional love, optimism, feeling a necessity to overcome fear and to release all anger and contempt. I mean, imagine, all the ways he could have been in just contempt of his brothers and been bitter, but no, he rose above all that. Okay. Melchizedek says here, these are not the chosen ones per se, but the ones who have chosen, either consciously or subconsciously, a path that diverges from identification with lower, denser forms of expression. Okay. Excuse me. The next two here, Simeon and Levi, represent those at the opposite end of the spectrum. Weapons of violence, fits of anger. They take lives. And if not actually taking lives, they are cutting with the tongue and with their contempt. They are emboldened by rage and divided self-righteousness, blind to the gifts of an open heart, compassion, civility, and acceptance. And Melchizedek continues here. They mean to control their reality through strength of will and muscle, brashness and egotistical stomping. They are not wrong, dear friends, more so unaware and in lesson, learning and experiencing life at their pace with a heavy dose of fear in their sails. No judgment for this expression. As we have all been at this point, been this at points along our journeys. Okay, so again, just general categorizations of folks and where they sit right now in their journeys. Okay. We shall talk about Reuben. Reuben was the first one that was mentioned in chapter 49 here. Jacob's firstborn, Melchizedek says, preeminent in pride and preeminent in power, however unstable as water. In the end, he will not be preeminent or of the highest, because he defiled his father's bed. And I kind of missed it when I read through Genesis, but doing a little bit of research on what that meant, I guess he slept with his father's wife or mistress there behind his father's back. Although that is up for debate, if that actually happened or if that's really what the passages mean. Okay. Reuben in this context represents those who mean well but still tend to trip over themselves. There is a strong awareness here The ego oftentimes wins over expression while the heart recedes quietly to the background. The fear of vulnerability, the fear of not living up to one's standards, particularly one's own standards, allow for mixed experiences of authenticity and hidden agendas. There is a real quest here to do right, to act from a place of integrity. But the ego and its fear often result in mixed and unstable expressions and actions. All right, so are you kind of seeing yourself in any of these archetypes? All right. Let us talk about Dan. Dan was the one in the Bible that they talked about them being a viper. Okay. Chapter 49, verse 16. Melchizedek. Dan shall be a serpent in the way, a viper by the path, that bites the horse's heels so that his rider falls backwards. Dan shall judge his people. Dan represents those who tend to have a happy smile on their face while inwardly sneering. Like the serpent hidden down at the feet, slithering and striking from behind, their motives may not have the highest of intentions and may not even be known to themselves until a strike is made. Again, fear ever present. And the way this is expressed is by hiding one's true feelings, working in underhanded ways in order to quell fear and to help control outcomes. How one presents outwardly may be in stark contrast to what is happening internally, which often carries a bit of turmoil. Yeah, a fair bit of turmoil, they said. So I'm sure we can all kind of relate to this on some level. And Melchizedek continues here. There shall be no judgment here either, for the raising frequencies of this planet, as Mother Earth ascends, will surely bring to the surface in real and tangible ways what has been lurking in the dark. This will be on an individual energetic level as well as a collective level. And this expression is extremely important to the planet's evolution. Excuse me. It is the darkest, most hidden parts of human expression that are to be revealed and to be set free. This process can be celebrated as a major signpost on this journey of awakening. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. That would be Dan. All right, and then they're going to talk about Judah, and that's all really they're going to go into. They're not going to cover all 12 of these. Okay. Judah, dear friends. Judah is an interesting character in that he has a strong moral compass, but sometimes falls short of making decisions that are in the best interest of all. He is a strong leader, even with the occasional lapse in judgment. In this context, Judah may be regarded as a natural leader, one who discerns right from wrong. Occasional missteps happen as there is still learning to be had. This archetype can enjoy the fruits of the physical plane, but not be lost to them. They are relatable, mostly open-hearted, taking life in stride and not feeling overburdened by the densities. Stability is an attribute of this group. All right. Okay, and they're kind of winding this up a little bit, winding it down, I should say. Melchizedek. Those are the major archetypes with many, many sub-archetypes and further interpretations of the remaining 12. All of this, dear ones, to help get you a feel for how you can be regarding these times and where you may sit, or where your brother or sister may be sitting. Many roles being played, many stops along the journey for dwelling and for learning. It's all one big continuum, all being experienced simultaneously and infinitely. Okay. Once again, we thank you, dear ones, for your willingness to participate in these new teachings. You're providing a great service to humanity by your presence. Okay. All right, so that was a lot of detail in 25 minutes. Yeah, Exodus is next in the Bible. I really don't have any clue where we're going from here now that we've wrapped up Genesis, although I do know they said they were going to skip around a little bit and that they'd talk more about Noah later on. Again, Melchizedek really wants to take their time with these teachings. And I know that not all of you are into this stuff, the Bible, and that's okay. Again, we are talking a lot about the present day. We're talking a lot about the next 1,000 years. We're trying to, bring context to these things that have been really quite murky for people, confusing, even contentious in terms of what does the Bible mean? What is this interpretation supposed to be? And this is really quite incredible that we are getting this directly from the source of this information and learning this all brand new for where we sit today. So it's quite an honor. And I'm really glad that you're here. You are the reason why we get to do this, really. All right. I'm tired. I'm going to take all this makeup off. I'm going to go to bed. All right, team. I do expect to see you next Tuesday, if not sooner. I hope you're all doing amazing. Please let me know in the comments how you're doing. And if you have any questions for Melchizedek. All right, guys, I love you. Mwah.